Twitch hates Vtubers. Maybe, bare minimum, Twitch moderators hate Vtubers, though an argument can be made that the platform hates them too. The platform has openly admitted they will ban Vtubers for actions that they are fine with FleshTubers or VR chat doing. What logic can there possibly be behind this? If the action is a problem, wouldn't you ban everyone? Are advertisers really saying, okay, we are fine with 99% nudity if it's a real woman, but if it's a pixel bitch, I best not be seeing no ankles? Of course not, it's petty and arbitrary, and that's something on the platform side because it's directly in their rules. However, it's quite clear that moderators have personal grudges against Vtubers. Right now, many boundary-pushing Vtubers who are still far less boundary-pushing than FleshTubers who never get punished are facing suspensions and disciplines over their avatars, actions, and ASMR. Specifically at one of the best times for Vtubers to make money on Twitch, kinda like how toy companies make more money off Christmas. The fall brings many gifts of cash to the Vtuber. One Vtuber, though, that made Twitter trending, named Shondo. Shondo says a lot of silly, edgy things. Nothing that would get her in trouble if she were a flesh sack, but she's a Vtuber. She recently faced 2 unfair suspensions, and if the timing on all the other actions coming in at bad times suggests there may be malicious moderation at work, this proves it. Her first happened on her birthday, and birthday streams are not only a major source of revenue for Vtubers since it's a day dedicated to themselves that gets people feeling very generous, it also, perhaps even more importantly, and this will become vital later, a generally very positive experience for both fans and the Vtuber herself. This is pretty old knowledge. As far back as the Dark Ages, we had a thing called the Carnival, where fools would perform to keep the muddied masses with a spark of hope in their lives, which were otherwise dreary with the weight of plague, war, and excessive taxes from the self-indulgent nobility. 3 things we know nothing of in this era: harvest festivals, festivals for gods, gladiators, death arena, and so on. Kings used these events to make people happy, except perhaps the gladiators that were getting killed, to give them a sense of escape and to give their physical labor assets strong with the efficiency raising happy buff centuries before mental health was invented. To strike at her on her birthday is not only a purely malicious action by a moderator with a grudge, but it's one clearly meant to cause mental harm. Not only Vtubers, any YouTuber's greatest anxiety. What do you think 90% of them would say? Some sort of action being taken against their account. It can ruin your livelihood, and since the rules are inconsistently enforced, it has the added anxiety of feeling out of your control. Later, suspended again for a drunk stream where she made edgy comments about the S-word, which if I even say it I may get banished from the internet. Upon review, her suspension was cleared, no wrongdoing. But for Twitch to take the most anxiety-creating action against her, while also pretending to be concerned for her mental well-being, is a massive disconnect, and again, clearly targeted. So why does this happen? Twitch, as long as you don't scare off advertisers, lets fleshbags basically stream naked, gives wrist slaps and cheek claps for full-out deed doing, and top peeps can do anything: threats, discrimination, bullying, gambling. Twitch should just love big revenue streamers, and Vtubers should be their favorite child, not the redheaded stepkid they don't want. Moderators, though, don't think the same way the company does. They have biases, and while some are on the job just for a paycheck, there's a good deal who are simply Karens who want to ruin someone else's day. They don't complain to manager, they become it. There's a concept in HR known as constructive dismissal or discharge. It is when you go out of your way to make the work environment so stressful and miserable that people will quit on their own. Many occupations that have seasonal hiring needs will hire full-time because that gets more dedicated workers, treat them well during the seasons they need them, then make the workplace awful when they need fewer workers. More commonly, when your manager's bonus is tied to budget, the biggest budget item is people. So if they need to cut $100,000 from the budget, getting a few people to quit is a great way to do so. Tormenting, suspending, messing with them, especially during celebration or high earning periods, not only allows these Karens to get the thrill of hurting others they seek so much, but at some point, people do break down from this sort of bullying and harassment. At some point, working on a platform gets so obnoxious due to the moderation issues that people will make the choice to go to another platform, or in some cases, drop out of the streaming game altogether. That's constructive discharge, and there's so many Vtubers who have been frequently harassed and not informed on what they did wrong because they haven't haven't done anything wrong. The Shondo suspension was reversed due to bad press, because the goal of constructive dismissal is to mess with your mind, to make it feel like it's the victim's fault, but to do it in a secretive way with no bad press. In this case, it was just too obvious what the moderators were doing. People who think this is a corporate issue will try to think of it logically and get swindled, because there is not cold, hard logical reason to mess specifically with the Vtubers. But if you can think like a Karen, it suddenly is very clear why this keeps happening. Spite and envy. And it's targeted quite a few other Vtubers, especially recently. And since this is done by insidious, manipulative people who thrive on harming others while ducking responsibility, it's extremely unlikely Twitch will ever notice, care, or take action on. So while I'd love to lie and say it'll get better, I think it's very clear the hatred of Vtubers and the unfair treatment of them is going to get significantly worse in the coming years. Please give a like and subscribe, and if you think I'm wrong about this, leave a comment below.